Hello guys, how is it going? Welcome to another video of tutorial series of building mathematical logic using PHP. In previous videos, we covered some topics like printing out natural numbers, even numbers, odd numbers, Fibonacci series, and we also looked into various ways of printing out prime numbers. And today, we'll be dealing with one more interesting topic, and it's called palindrome. So before we begin, let us first of all understand what is palindrome. So I'm working on the same directory that we started from the day one. I'll just create a file called palindrome.php. So let us understand what is palindrome. Let me just make a few comments over here that will describe what is palindrome. So palindrome is a number or a word, maybe it can be word or number, which if we analyze it, then the way it is written, if we read it in a reverse order, then it will be exactly the same. For example, if we have number 101, whether we read it from starting to end or read it from end to start, it's always 101. So 10 and 1 from here and 101 from here. So similarly, if we have a number 101 again, so 101 101 101 101, and if we read it from the reverse order, 101 101, it's the same. So any string or any number that is same, even if we read it from the correct order or a reverse order, then such number is, or a string, is known as palindrome string or palindrome word or palindrome number. And we can at least visualize a number can be palindrome, a word can be palindrome, and at the same time any sentence could also be palindrome. Yeah, it could be very hard to identify the palindrome sentence, and it could be really rare, but maybe if we try to work it out, we can generate some palindrome sentence as well. I'm not sure, because I have never gone through, or I have never encountered any sentence that is palindrome. But if we really try to research, and even if we try to Google it, we might find some sentence that could be palindrome, or even paragraphs. But for now, let us just try to write a code that will identify if the given number or a given string is palindrome. So before we start with the number, our main concern here, our main objective here is to identify if a number is palindrome. But before dealing with number, let us try to deal with any strings. For example, we might say it, let's say, what do we know? Okay, we have a word huh, and this is generally used to express, let's say, surprise. Or if we are surprised, we use this word huh, and we know that this is also a palindrome word, huh from the starting. If we start from the beginning, it's huh, and even if we try to read it in a reverse order, it is huh. There are many more palindrome numbers which you can go through. I don't have anything in my mind right now because I was not prepared for it, but there are lots and lots of palindrome words. So let us try to identify if a word is palindrome or not. First of all, let's create a string, a variable, and write a number that is not palindrome. So apple, apple is not a palindrome for sure, because here we can see apple begins with A and apple ends with E, so this cannot be palindrome. And let us create another variable and put a string over there, a word huh, and we know this is palindrome because it's same from the reverse order and it's same from the proper order. So let us try to check both of these if these are palindrome. The reason I started with string, checking string, is string behaves a bit different in PHP. In PHP, most of the properties of string behaves like an array. For example, if you just try to echo the first character of the string, there are various ways. There is substring, Substring is the function that generates the substring of any string. For example, if I want to generate the substring of the first letter of A, then I can write a function saying I want a substring of A that starts from the 0th position, 0th index. This is the 0th index, and I only need one character, that is the first character. So if I just try to echo it and try to see what it gives, so maths.test, and our file name is Palindrome, Palindrome, palindrome.php. Now we can see it gave us the first character A. Okay, so it gave us first character A, and if we write down 2 over here, it will give us AP because it grabs 2 characters from the string, 2 substring, so AP. So this is one of the ways we can grab the substring of a string. Okay, and there is another way of doing the same, and if we see, let me just type in BR over here, line break, and if we just try to print out A0, let's see what we get. We again got A because we can see here we are treating this string A as an array. So by treating it as an array, we can just type in the index over here. So let's say if I want the last string, then I can just type in -1. Let's see what we get. We got the last string apple. This is how array works. But we can see for sure that this is not an array, this is a string. This is a string. But string behaves as an array. But let's try to count A. And we'll see that this is giving us now warning, because though it is behaving like an array, all of the functions, all of the functionalities that is provided by PHP for array does not apply on a string, because this is not an array, but this behaves as an array. So we cannot say A is an array, but it follows some of the properties of array, like we can grab the substring using the index just like an array, but we cannot use the function that actually counts the number of index in an array. We cannot use that in a variable, normal variable. That is not an array. So that's just for basic. So we have 2 ways of grabbing the substring of a string, that is either by substr or by printing out using the index of the string. So if we do this and do this and do this, we'll get the first 3 characters of the string, and we can see APP. So these are 2 ways of dealing with substrings in PHP. There might be more, but let's just deal with this. And I'm interested in using this one instead of this. We could have proved if the string is palindrome or not by using any of these, but today I'll be dealing with 8. Let me just comment these out. So our plan today is to check if the string is palindrome. So now, in order to check if the string is palindrome, let us suppose we want to check if A is palindrome, then we have to at least find out the reverse of this string and store it in some variable called C. Let's say C is something, and we want to store here the reverse of the A is to be stored here, right? So if we are able to store the reverse of A in C, then what we can do finally is we can just compare A and C, and if they are equal, then that is palindrome. But generally in English, what we do is we start our letter with capital letter. Here I have written the small letter, but if I do this, then this small case h is not equals to capital case H. So before we start checking if the number is palindrome, let us just convert this string into lowercase entirely, so that we don't mess up with our code. So first thing that I want to do is, instead of doing it for A and B, why don't we just create a function calling check palindrome, okay, and we pass in a string over here, and that's what we want to compare for. we want to compare any string. Let's just call it str. You might get confused if I write it a. So let's call it str over here, and we want to check if this str is a palindrome. So what we want to do here is, first of all, we want to count the length of the string. And we came to know that the count does not work for string, because count is a function that is only applicable for array. So there is another function that gives us the count of the string, or the length of the string, and that is strlen. So let's create a variable count and type in strlen and pass in a string over here. This will give us the count of the string. Let us check if we got the count of the string. So we'll just print out the count of the string and call this function. This is a function, so it will only get executed once it is called. So why don't we just call it over here and pass in a over here. So this a, apple, is passed in the function. So str is now apple, and we count the length of apple, which should be 1 2 3 4 5. So 5 should be printed out. Let's see if we get 5. Yes, we got. So we know, first of all, now we know that the string a, the variable a, has a string with length 5. So that is the first thing that we derived from here. So we have the length of the string now. Now what we want to do is, we want to run a loop for 5 times in 5 loops and grab the substring accordingly. So we know that this is in 0th index, this is in 1st index, this is in 2nd, this is in 3rd, and this is in 4th. So if we are able to loop from 4 to 0, so this is in 4th index, if we are able to loop from 4 to 0, then in that case we can just reverse it. So we know the count of the string is 5, so the number of indexes here would be 0 1 2 3 4. So we need to start our loop from 4 and move till 0. So what I want to do here is, we don't need this echo count anymore. Why don't I just comment it out so that you can test it later on. So let me start a loop, for loop, and I want to start my loop from 4, which is count minus 1. We know the count is 5, so I will start my loop from, let's say, I equals to $count minus 1, which is 4 for the case of apple, and we want to move till 0. So I is greater than or equal, since we are starting from a greater number and trying to move till 0, so I have to check, we have to run the loop until and unless I is greater than 0. And we want, instead of increasing I, we want to decrease I now. So we are starting from 4. In another loop we get into 3 2 1 and finally 0. And what I want to do is, I want to create a new string, this c, you know, c, right? C is equals to blank. So instead of setting c over here, why don't we just set c is equals to blank over here? So we have a variable c that is blank. Just quit this so that this doesn't disturb us. So c is blank. Now what I want to do is, I want to reverse the string. So I want to say c equals to $c dot concatenation of $a of $i. So in the first loop we have I equals to 4. So c gets concatenated with the 4th index of a, which is 0 1 2 3 4. So now c becomes e in the first loop. In the second loop, I is then reduced to 3. So what happens now, c already has e in it. Now it concatenates e with the 3rd index, 0 1 2 3 l. So we have e and l in the second loop. In the third loop, what happens now is I is reduced to 2. So e and l is now concatenated with the 2nd index of a, which is 0 1 2 p. Now we have elp, and in the 4th loop, p gets concatenated with the previous string, and finally a gets concatenated to the string. Okay, so this is how we can generate the reverse string. Now let's do one more thing. What we want to do is to avoid these capital cases, because this h and this h is not regarded as same, because PHP is case sensitive. So what I want to do is, I want to before comparing the string str, I first of all want to convert this string to the lowercase. So what I want to do is $str equals to str to lower. This is a function in PHP that converts the entire string into lowercase. So str. Okay. So this str has a capital letter A, but now this is converted to a small case a. So by doing so, we have a reverse order string that is in the same, lowercase. Now, secondly, after we have reversed the string, I just want to uh, check if this string is equivalent to C. Why don't we call it reverse instead of C? Let's do this. I just want to reverse it to st reverse reverse. So I would, and now I want to compare str with reverse. So if $str equals to $reverse, then we will print out echo the string is palindrome. And instead of calling it the string, why don't we just pass in the real value of string over here by doing this $str is palindrome, and by doing so, and we might also need an else over here that says echo the, let me just copy the same, paste it over here, and call it str is not a palindrome. So let's see. First of all, we are passing a into it, so obviously apple is not palindrome, so this should print out the string apple is not a palindrome. Why don't we just add a quote over here just to make it look good? Copy this, paste it over here. Now let us see if the string is palindrome. Let's see the output. It says undefined variable a. Let's see what we did in line number 17. So a, what is a? A, oh, we have to do, because a is out of the function, we cannot use a. We have already passed a as str, so instead of using a, what we can do is we can use str over here, and that should do it. Let's see. The string apple is not a palindrome, so there's one more problem, C. So let's see in line number 17. What is C? Let's see. C. Okay, we have changed the C to reverse, so we also need to do the same over here. Yeah, so the string apple is not palindrome. Why don't we pass B over here? In this case, ha should be palindrome. Let's see. So the string ha is palindrome. So now we can see that we have written a code that analyzes if a string is palindrome or not. I hope you understood the video. In the next video, we will be dealing with numbers. There are two ways of dealing with numbers, so which we'll be doing that in another video. I hope you liked the video, and if you did, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel and share it with your